Good morning, everyone. I think you can all see me and hear me. I want to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us this morning for our Economic Outlook breakfast for 2020. Unfortunately, we don't have breakfast for you. As I told Mayor Wunderlich that I believe the Uber Eats is out on its way to deliver the bacon to him, but it's probably delayed. So want to do some quick introductions before we get started and do some recognition. So thank you again for joining us this morning. I want to introduce a few dignitaries that are with us and thank them for joining us. So first off, we have our Mayor Pro Tem from the city of Wildomar, Bridget Moore. From the city of Murrieta, we have the mayor, Gene Wunderlich, Mayor Pro Tem Scott Vinton, City Council members Christy White and Jonathan Ingram. We have City Manager Kim Summers, Assistant City Manager Ivan Haller, Deputy City Manager Stacy Stevenson, Finance Director Javier. I know I'm going to Carcamo. I knew I was going to mess that one up. Sorry there about that, Javier. We have Stephanie Smith, our city clerk, Bob Mailing, our director of public works and city engineer, Scott Agajanian, who you'll be introduced to very soon with economic development, Kimberly Davidson with economic development with the city of Wildomar. Then we also have, I believe we have with us council member elect Lori Stone. We also have President CEO Paul Granillo with the IEEP. And then a couple of our board members who are with us this morning. We have Morris Myers with MSJC, Jen Sevilla with Stromso Insurance, Michael Klein with MPK Advisors, and Sandy Ward with Which Superior Sandwiches. I want to thank them all for joining us this morning. I also would be remiss if I did not sorry, I added that D there accidentally. Our sponsors, without our sponsors, this would not be possible, especially in a year like this. But they made it possible for us to try this new format, which hopefully everyone is having a little bit of fun with today. Our title sponsors for this year are the City of Murrieta, Loma Linda University Medical Center, Murrieta, Inland Empire Economic Partnership. Our diamond sponsors are Abbott, Murrieta Spectrum, Rady Children's Health Services, Southwest Healthcare System, and Western Municipal Water District. And our gold sponsors are Altura Credit Union, Eastern Municipal Water District, Nikiso Cryoequip, Pacific Premier Bank, Southern California Gas Company, and Southern California Edison. So before we get to Dr. Husing, we have a little video that I wanted that Heather's going to play for everyone. It's just a little recognition for our sponsors, as well as a little bit of information about the chamber and what we have worked on this year. So with that said, here is the video. Awesome. Thank you, Heather. Thank you for putting that together. Thank you again to our sponsors. So with that said, it is now my pleasure to introduce to everyone Dr. John Husing. So Dr. Husing's been one of the premier economists in the Inland Empire since 1964. His extensive study of the region has led to economic strategies that combine analytical work with extensive interviews and with executives and entrepreneurs to understand the focuses shaping our region. His eclectic career has remarkably included managing a Nevada casino, running for Congress in his 20s, teaching college, and running the world's largest whitewater rafting company. It's my pleasure to turn it over to Dr. Husing. Thank you, Dr. Husing.
Thank you very much. As you indicated, I've been around for a long time. I actually remember driving through Southwest Riverside County, and there were more companies than there were people. So it's really, I've sort of lived the growth of this area. Now, do I have control of my PowerPoint, or do we?
No, I believe.
I'll be controlling it for you, Dr. Husing. So you just let me know when I advance, okay?
All right, advance. All right, there. Okay. What I want to do is start out by looking at the job. Let me back up. I want to start out by looking at the fact that obviously we're in a world of hurt right now. And so this particular graph shows job losses from a month this year 2020 compared to 2019. So you can see the worst for the US was 20,189,000 jobs disappeared in April compared to April a year ago. So we were down as a country by 13.4%. As we've gone through this year, the degree that we are in the hole has lessened. We're not out of the hole. We're still down 9,648,000 jobs, but clearly by September, we were in a lot better shape than we were in April when we sort of shut everything down. Click. So this situation was worse than what occurred during the Great Recession back in 2008, 2009, and 2010. Next. Now, looking specifically now at the Inland Empire, you see a dark line on the left there. That is the beginning of 2020. To the left of that are the dots, employment levels in the Inland Empire. You can see we have the normal January fall off, a little bit higher in February. In March, it's down a bit, and then it collapses just as the national did. Next. Now, these are the dots representing where employment was during the course of this year, forecasted out to December 2020. Next, please. In this period, our area lost 102,065 jobs. So by December, averaging the full year, we will have been down that amount, 102,065 jobs. So we're a long way below where we were back in 2019. Next, please. Now you see another dark line. So the two dark lines represent the beginning of 2020, the beginning of 2021. So you see growth through 2021. Next, please. By the end of the year, we will have gained back 62,822 jobs. So we're not all the way back from the 102,000 loss by December of 2021. Next, please. By the end of the year, round figures, we will still be down about 40,000 jobs going into 2022. So they need to be brought back in 2022 to get us back to where we were in 2019. Now this assumes, next please. This all assumes a COVID vaccine getting distributed, which now, when I created these slides, seemed unlikely, but it looks very possible now. So there's 2020, the loss of 102,000 some odd jobs. 2021 gaining back 62,822. Next, please. Now, these are all the 20 sectors of the Inland Empire economy. What you can see is the red, by the way, represents lower paying sectors. There's only one down there at the bottom, which is manufacturing. I'm sorry, it's K through 12 and manufacturing are in there. But these red bars, eating and drinking, retail sales, other services, accommodation, amusement, these are all lower paying sectors. Together with manufacturing and K through 12 education, that group represented 79,300 jobs of the 102,000 lost. Next, please. So we're down that 6.56, but overwhelmingly in those sectors. Next, please. Now, there are certain sectors that we really want to see come back when we go into 2021. First is logistics, which is the most powerful sector in the Inland Empire economy, representing roughly 1 out of every 4 jobs created going back to 2010 when the economy bottomed. Next. A second sector we want to see is healthcare. Healthcare was down 1,000 in 2020. And interestingly enough, that is the only loss of jobs that sector has seen all the way back to 1964 when I began tracing this area. Next, please. Construction is the other sector that we need to see moving along and growing. It was down 4,200 jobs this year, but it should be coming back in 2021. Next, please. Now, what are the drivers of our economy that have to get us out of the hole we're in? Next. First of all is logistics. Now, this is not big in Southwest County, obviously. It is the rest of the economy, though you do have commuters who leave Southwest County and work in facilities throughout the rest of the region. Next, please. This sector's median pay is not as low as a lot of people sort of seem to think it is. 49,106 jobs, $49,106 is the median pay. Half the people working in the sector making less, half the people making more. Next, please. Now, some of the important factors that affect what sectors can grow for the Inland Empire are, first of all, the level of education of our workforce. In the Inland Empire as a whole, 44% in 2019, most recent data we've now received, stopped their educations with either a high school diploma or didn't get that far. You can see looking across there that that is higher than LA, higher than the state. The South Coast area, South Coastal is San Diego, Orange, Ventura, Santa Barbara. Clearly much higher than the Bay Area. One of the problems we face is the fact that the Bay Area is so different, and a lot of the policies we see in the state legislature emanate from that area and don't do any favors for our area. Next, please. Now, 44% is the number for the Inland Empire. It is only 29.3 in Murrieta, which is much better shape. Next, please. Turning it around and looking at the AA degree or higher. I use AA rather than bachelor's because so much of our economy is now being driven by people that have a community college degree, then bachelor's, master's, PhDs, lawyers, etc. This chart shows the cities of the Inland Empire and how they compare to Orange, San Diego, and LA County. Next, please. You will see that just less than LA County is Murrieta. And so we have 52 cities. And so Murrieta is one of the stronger ones. Here in Southwest County, Temecula is actually above Orange County by a little bit. So you have a relatively well-educated area. Next, please. Now, what is it that drives logistics? This chart shows quarter after quarter after quarter, compared to a year ago, how much e-commerce, online sales were rising. And that sort of long wavy line around 15% shows that every quarter after quarter after quarter, e-commerce sales were up 15% approximately, until you get to second quarter 2020, when the economy shut down. We were essentially told to stay home. And so we didn't stop buying. It grew 44.5% compared to second quarter the previous year. So we didn't expect to see a number like that, probably ever. We expected it to end up around 20-25%. Once this behavior starts, I think you'll find we'll continue doing it. Next, please. So if we look then at total sales in the United States, what we'll see is back in 2000, only 0.8% of all sales were e-commerce. By 2020, second quarter, that was at 16.1%. So this particular way of doing business, really, we've probably advanced the economy by about 5 years in terms of behavior. Next, please. The other sector that drives this are port volumes. This is the chart of port volumes through August. September and October have come in, raised it a little more. And so it's possible that imported volumes of containers will have broken the 9 million record or almost gotten to it. Now, the way we measure this are 20-foot equivalent containers. If you see a train going down the tracks with containers on it, each one of those containers is 40 feet long. We measure volume in 20-foot equivalent containers. So that 9 million record in 2018 fell off to 8.5 million 20-foot equivalent containers in 2019. That was because of the president's tariff policies, and then falling off slightly more in 2020. Though, as I said, the most recent volumes down there appear to say that we're going to exceed certainly the 8.5 and might get all the way back to 9 or a little above it. Next, please. Now, one of the things that we pay a lot of attention to is companies migrating to the Inland Empire, bringing jobs with them and taking space. So we track the net absorption of space. That's buildings filling with companies bringing their employees on a net basis. This rules out companies migrating back and forth in the region. 20,900,000 square feet of space was absorbed on a net basis in the year ended. This is yearly data. So in the year ended in June, each dot is 4 quarters. So the year ended in June, 20,900,000 square feet of space taken off the market. Next, please. So this brought us down to a very low vacancy rate of 2.7%, which basically means we've got companies coming in, and as soon as we build the space, they move in. Next, please. Now, this is logistics employment in the Inland Empire. You can see on the left, up to the black line, which is the beginning of 2020, that it was soaring in 2019. It then crashes, like everything else, with a dot in April. And then as the year has gone along, because we're buying so much online, in 2020, we're climbing back nearly as high as we were in 2019. Next, please. So when we look at the total for 2020, it was up 2,080 jobs, or 1% over 2019, despite the pandemic. This is the sector that drives our economy the most. Passing over the black line on the right, going into 2021, you can see it's continuing to grow. Next, please. And so in 2021 over 2020, we see 6,202,000 jobs estimated. That's my estimate for the sector, up 3%. Next, please. Now, what's driving this? First of all, understand we're beginning to run out of land in the valley areas. That's why you see a lot of these facilities being built just north of Southwest County in Paris and up in Moreno Valley. It's out that far. In fact, Amazon's most recent facility, there are a total of 14, was built in Beaumont. And there's another one going up right now at San Bernardino International Airport. Next, please. Also running or driving this is e-commerce, as we now know, is very powerful and we're all using it. And then port volumes are rising again. So that is what will be driving 2021, is that group of requirements. Next, please. A second important sector for us is construction. Next, please. In construction, what we see is a median pay, $54,757. So it's higher than what you see in logistics by quite a bit. Like logistics, an important sector for the Inland Empire because it does not require higher education to be able to get into the sector and move up in it. Next, please. Now, one of the things that drives this sector is our population. here is the forecast, 2019 to 2045. The anticipation is the Inland Empire will add 1.46 million people. LA, about half that amount. And then if you add together San Diego, Orange, Ventura, and Imperial, they'll only add about 1 million. So we're outgrowing all those areas. As a result of that, it will put us at a population, next please, of just over 6 million. Next, please. 6,116,905 people. These are the Demographic Research Unit, Department of Finance forecasts. Now, I'm old enough that in 2045, I'll be 104. So I don't expect to be driving around then. Most of you will be. Next, please. Now, looking at what's going on with population growth down in Southwest County, this is Temecula's growth, which has been generally what most of us is focused on. Next, please. However, when we put in Murrieta is now grown faster and to a higher level than what you had in Temecula. It's now up at well over 100,000. Both of them are, but Murrieta is now the larger of the two cities, major cities in Southwest County. Next, please. Another thing that drives construction is the building of the large facilities that are used by logistics. You see here, industrial construction in the Inland Empire. Next, please. 64.5%. I'm sorry, back up. 64.5% of all new buildings being built in Southern California in the Inland Empire. Second to this area is San Diego. Third is LA. They're so much smaller, they almost don't count. Next, please. Now, one of the things that's very important here is what is going on with housing prices. In the blue circle, you see the median price of new and existing homes in San Bernardino County and Riverside. Riverside is running about $65,000 higher than San Bernardino County. But those tall bars you see on the left are San Diego, LA, and Orange, which you can see are far higher than they are in the Inland Empire. Next, please. So in the yellow bars, you see what is saved by somebody migrating out of San Diego County into the Inland Empire, migrating out of LA, or migrating out of Orange. So the 323, 362, 496 are compared to San Bernardino County. Now, next, please. Murrieta is actually higher than either San Bernardino or Riverside, but again, still much less than San Diego, which accounts for one of the reasons a lot of people are leaving San Diego County and migrating up into Southwest County. When you look at Lake Elsinore, there it's people migrating down the 15 freeway as well as up. It's sort of the two meet in Lake Elsinore. And of course, it's now migrating north from Murrieta up the 215 freeway into Menifee. Next, please. Now, this is separating and looking at prices for new homes in blue, and the red line is existing homes in red. Now, looking at the top line, you can see the peak of prices back in the Great Recession was $437.2. You can see it's up to $470 in third quarter 2020. Next, please. So prices today for new homes are 7.6% higher than they were before the Great Recession. Now on the bottom, next please, what you see, oh, excuse me, let me put Murrieta in there. 474, so new homes being built in Murrieta are more expensive than the region as a whole overall. Now looking at the bottom, next please, what we see is existing homes are 6.2% above the 924 peak for existing homes back before the Great Recession, sitting at 414,207. Looking at Murrieta, next please. Interestingly, existing homes in Murrieta were selling for more than new homes and substantially above the regional level at 487,534. Next, please. Volume has been an interesting problem in this market. What's happened is people going all the way back to 2010 have really decided they don't want to move around. And so that sort of wiggly straight line, right about 16,000 quarterly sales. And in these numbers, we've taken out summer, fall, winter, spring. So the seasonality is taken out. And what we look at here, we see, except for that most recent two dots, staying right around that. Now, the decline in second quarter was because of COVID. The increase in third quarter, frankly, is because that's really 2 quarters worth of growth, because a lot of people stayed at home and then they came out together with the normal increase. And so really it's tending to stay along that line. So that's a problem for us. It's a problem in that not a lot of people wanting to sell their homes. And as a result of that, you end up with a lot of demand, a little supply, and soaring prices. Next, please. When we look at the apartment markets, they look very similar in terms of the differential in cost. In the Inland Empire, $1,562 a month in third quarter 2019 was the rent. That was about $400 less than San Diego, $600 less than Orange, and $700 next to LA. Now put these two things together. Prices are far less expensive in the Inland Empire to buy. Rents are much less expensive in the Inland Empire than they are in the coastal counties also. The net result of that is people migrate to the Inland Empire because they just can't afford to either buy or rent in the coastal counties. That's our growth. That's why we've been growing, going all the way back to when I first started studying this area. It also, because people who can't afford those areas migrate out, it's the reason why our school systems are dealing with that influx of people, often from the lower income levels, migrating out of the coastal counties. And so same thing happened to our social service agencies. Next, please. So this is what construction employment looks like it's going to do. When you look to the left of the graph, you see it going up to a peak in August, falling off as the end of the summer starts occurring, to a low in January, a little bouncing around, and then we have COVID hit in 2020, so in the middle of the two bars. And then the sector coming back, and this is infrastructure construction. You can't get on a road almost anywhere without running into that. It's also the large facilities being built, and it's also some housing. And you can see in 2020, tailing off to the second dark line. The forecast for 2021 is on the right. Next, please. So in 2020, we see construction employment overall down about 4,200 jobs, or 4%. Next, please. In 2021, it gets back 3,000, growing at about 3%, which is a little less than what it did after the Great Recession. But still, we're seeing problems in financing homes, and so that sort of held it back. Next, please. Now, what is driving this sector? First of all, the difficulty for developers in getting permits to build new homes. Next one. California Environmental Quality Act is used particularly in the coastal counties to stop construction, which has limited the supply of new homes, driven prices sky high, and that is what's forced a lot of people to migrate inland. Next. The very high prices from lack of supply, as I just said. Next, please. One of the things you find when you talk to people who are in the construction business is they have a shortage of workers. They lost a lot of workers during the Great Recession. A lot of those workers went back to Latin America, but a lot of them went to work driving trucks and working in warehousing, and so they're not available for construction. This is one of the great challenges for our K through 12 and community college system, is to train people for this particular sector. Next, please. The third important sector is healthcare. Healthcare, good paying sector, $67,497. It's not just doctors and nurses. It's everybody from the people who check people in at the front desk, all the way through the technicians that do sonography, and that sort of technology. Moving on, next please. This is office absorption, which is closely related to this, and that is because medical offices are one of the top demands for offices in the inland region. You can see, however, that there's very little office absorption of space, unlike what we saw with logistics. Why is that the case? Part of it, I suspect, the reason it's hovering around zero is the fact that with COVID, people have learned that they can use the kind of technology that we're using this morning, and therefore they don't have to move their offices out to the Inland Empire for their labor force. They can just have them online. Next, please. In the Southwest Riverside market, the office market in the third quarter of 2020, excuse me, actually saw a net loss of occupied space, so the vacancy rate jumped up a bit. Next, please. There's the vacancy rate in the region. It jumped up to 9.9. Next, please. In Murrieta, it's tighter at 7.3. Next, please. Now, one of the things that's driving healthcare is the Affordable Care Act. We just had a hearing on this in the Supreme Court. Back in 2012, we had almost 880,000 people with no health insurance. That dropped by 2019 to 406. Next, please. So it went from 20.5%, next please, to 8.9%. So it is down substantially in terms of the share of the population. Altogether, as the blue square says, 53.7% of people are no longer uninsured, who were uninsured in 2012. Next, please. However, because of the pressure to get rid of the Affordable Care Act in Congress and the White House, we've seen the number of people that are uninsured go up. Next, please. Murrieta, much better shape, 6.5% versus 8.9% in the region. So most people in Murrieta have health insurance. Next, please. The other thing driving this sector is the number of people each healthcare worker is taking care of. For California, it's 25.4 people per healthcare worker to take care of them. In the inland area, it's 31.2. Next, please. As a result of that, every healthcare worker in the Inland Empire is handling 22.8% more people than the state average. You can see that the average has dropped, which is good. Things like the opening of Loma Linda University Medical Center there in Murrieta, which is beginning to relieve some of the pressure. But we need more of it. Next, please. So this is healthcare employment. You can see it rising in 2019, falling off in the middle. Next, please. So that altogether, 982 jobs were lost in the sector. That's the only negative figure, as I indicated earlier, in terms of healthcare growth in the many, many years I've studied this region. Next, please. Looking forward to 2021, it looks like we will add in 4,400, and that will more than make up for what was lost. Next, please. What is driving this sector? The forces involved. Next, please. The shortage of trained workers. So we need a lot of education. It's good UCR has opened a medical school. We need a stimulus package for hospitals coming out of the next thing that happens with COVID, hopefully. Next, please. Part of the reason it fell off in 2020 has been people's reluctance to be in close contact with healthcare workers. And so they've put off surgeries that are elective. They haven't gone to the dentist. They've sort of skipped seeing their psychologist. Those sorts of things affected us in 2020. That should be cured again in 2021. Next, please. Now, the areas of the economy that have been hit the hardest are those areas that bring people in close contact with workers. Most of these are in the service sectors or economy, which are the lower paying. On the left, retail trade, median pay $36,988. On the right, personal services like hairstylists, personal trainers, that sort of service, $38,844. Next, please. This is the median pay, half above, half below. Now, important to these sectors is how much people are making in the Inland Empire. These are the median pay in the Inland Empire in 2019. And you can see the Inland Empire is just less than LA County. Now remember, housing costs in LA County are much higher. If you take that into effect, after paying housing costs in the Inland Empire, the leftover income is higher here than in LA County. So that's really good news for recruiting companies into our area. We're almost up, I don't have it on this chart, to the $75,000 figure after paying for housing costs in San Diego. So that will be potentially a driver in Southwest County coming up out of San Diego County. Next, please. Murrieta, 100,000 in median income. So Murrieta is one of the very strong cities in income. Next, please. So what happened when COVID-19 hits? You've got these services we all need, but we shut down the stores. And this is a nail salon. This was posted in my wife's nail salon window. She chuckled because it was already starting to get ugly. All right, next, please. This is what we expect to see happen in these sectors. On the left, you see 2019 going along, and then we get to 2020, and there's that huge dive that we're trying to work our way back from, but we're down 21,868 jobs in these sectors, which is almost 1 out of every 10 workers. On the right, next please, we see it come back 16,000 by the end of 2021, but still we're down about 5,000 jobs in these sectors by the end of 2021. Next, please. What's driving these sectors? Next, please. E-commerce is attacking in-store sales. A lot of us have gotten used to using that and probably aren't going to change our behavior too much. COVID-19 closed a lot of stores and a lot of personal service operations. Next, please. We'll be almost back to 2019 by the end of 2021. Next, please. Though some shops will have closed altogether, so that'll restrain it, and we'll need to get the rest back in 2022. Next, please. Heating and drinking is another key sector here. 30,368. This is the lowest paying overall sector. Half make more than 30,000, half make less. Next, please. This is sort of what dining looks like now. Outside, masks on, that sort of thing, or closed altogether because we just haven't defeated COVID yet. This will all change once we get the vaccines distributed. Next, please. So this is the trend here. On the left, you see 2019. Relatively flat, a little bit of growth during the year. 2020, it dives the most, 33,679. We've lost almost 1 out of every 4 jobs. 2021, next please, we see it coming back about 10,000. So we're still down about 23,000 jobs by the end of 2021. Next, please. What's driving this sector? Takeout and sit-down restaurants were doing really well. Next, please. People's incomes were strong. Next, please. COVID then shut down the sit-down restaurants. Next, please. And we're going to lose some restaurants as a result of all of this. Next, please. Another set of sectors that have been badly hit are accommodation and related sectors. That's on the left, hotels, the right, and the bottom and the left. On the bottom are entertainment venues, all of which have had issues. Next, please. Again, this is a group of sectors that have really been hurt. You can see coming 2019's going along. We get into 2020 and it dives altogether for the year, 35,169 jobs. That's a loss of 57.2%. This is a combination of, well, not a combination. This is fear. People not wanting to be in close contact in entertainment venues, also not wanting to be traveling in airplanes and trains, etc. Next, please. We don't expect it to come back a lot until a vaccine has been completely successful in taking fear out of the equation. Next, please. What we see now are, again, going into 2020, incomes were strong, people were traveling. Next page, please. So then COVID shuts down hotels and entertainment venues. Next, please. And much travel and entertainment venues are not taking place because fear remains very strong in these sectors. Next, please. So finally and lastly, again, looking at the sum total of all of this. On the left, a very strong 2019. The whole year was up altogether about 30,000 jobs on average. Going to 2020, we look like we're going to be down 102,000. Next, please. 2021, up 62,000. Next, please. Leaving about 40,000 jobs still needing to be brought back. Next, please. Again, all of this assumes COVID under control with the announcement of the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines. Hopefully that will in fact happen by the end of 2021. Next, please. This is my website, www.johnhusing.com. This will be on that website certainly by the end of the week, so you can download it. It's on there now without the various things I put in about Murrieta specifically. If there's room for any questions, I'll be hanging around. And thank you very
Dr.
much
Husing.
for
We
this
appreciate that very much. As Dr. Husing said, is that those slides will be available on his website. We'll also have the copies that we have, as well as, and just so everyone knows, we are recording this too, and this presentation will be up on our YouTube page within the next week or so. So thanks again, Dr. Husing. We appreciate that. So, all righty. So if you turn your camera and mic off, it is my pleasure now to introduce to you Kimberly Davidson, who is the Economic Development Director for the city of Wildomar. We are glad to have her back. She's fresh back from Nashville, so she might be a little slower than most days because of that. I'm sure she had a very good time, but it's my pleasure to turn over to her. And then very quickly, just wanted to clarify one thing. Most of what Dr. Husing was presented, I know he mentioned Murrieta, but most of that information is actually Murrieta Wildomar specific. So just wanted to clarify that for y'all. So without further ado, let me turn it over to Kimberly. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And here you're saying y'all, and I just got back from Tennessee, so I should be saying y'all. And I just want to say, you know, Nashville was beautiful, but there is nothing like coming home to our valley. I am so glad to be back. It's like, I'm home. So hello, everybody, and good morning. I'm excited to present this to you. Heather, if we could have the next slide. So I know some of you are still getting to know Wildomar, so I'm very excited to show you some of what is going on in Wildomar these days. And just to get started, our population is a little over 37,000. Our median age is about 35 years old. Our average household income, I think this might surprise some of you, is close to 100,000. So very close to what Dr. Husing was talking about with Murrieta. We're very close in that realm with them. And our median home value is about $400,000. So a little bit cheaper than maybe Temecula, Murrieta, but great value for your home. Next slide. Our city once again presented a balanced budget for fiscal year 2021, and we actually received an award called the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award from the Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, and that was for the way our budget is transparent and how we present it to our residents. Next slide. In late 2018, we passed the 1% sales tax measure, which is called Measure AA, which went into effect in 2019. Those funds are slated for public safety, homelessness, and road improvements. Our traffic safety officer has been very busy over this past year. From just July 2019 to July 2020, he wrote almost 2,000 citations, and you can thank us for people not speeding through Wildomar anymore. So we've been really on that. And he's gotten 115 DUIs off of our roads, which is awesome. He's also assisted in 223 traffic collisions. So we're very proud of our motorcycle officer in Wildomar. Next slide. One of the coolest things, and I got to see this truck up close and personal when I went there to take some pictures for our State of the City. This medic truck we actually got in 2020, but our medic squad started in January of 2020. So we went for almost a year without our own medic truck. We had borrowed one from Riverside County. And the one that we borrowed from Riverside County didn't have anything on this. This one is so cool. It really is packed with search and rescue type equipment. The lights on there light up the any kind of dirt road or wilderness area in Wildomar like it's daylight, and really helps the fire station to go on emergency calls. So between January 6th and June 11th of this year, our medic squad has responded to 681 calls in Wildomar and 289 calls outside our city limits. If you get a chance, please stop by our fire station and check out this medic squad. One of the really great stories that has already come out of this is about a month ago, we had a teenager actually drown in the city of Wildomar, and he was unresponsive for multiple minutes. And because of this medic squad and because of Measure AA, there was able to be many medics on the scene to help him. And because of that, he is alive, walking around today, and has no residual effects from that drowning. And I believe he was under the water for something close to 10 minutes. So without this Measure AA passing, we probably would have only had one medic on scene, and things may have turned out differently. So the city of Wildomar thanks our residents, and the family of that victim certainly thanks our residents for passing the Measure AA. Well, another part of Measure AA is our homeless services. Approximately 12 tons of trash from encampments have been picked up since May of 2020 to October of 2020. 12 tons is the equivalent of about 2 elephants, just to give you an idea. And if you go to the next slide, you'll see the after. Our homeless services team of our sheriffs, SWAG, which is a nonprofit group that we work with, and city staff have been doing a fantastic job. From the period of January 2020 to July of 2020, SWAG has made contact with 354 individuals, and they have a very good success rate of getting those individuals to the places that they need to be, whether that's back with family, into rehab, or into a job. Built in 1982, the fire station that you just saw a couple of slides ago on Gruel Street was in need of updated appliances, countertops, and floorings. As you can imagine, we have a list of other improvements in the coming years needed at that facility to continue to support the great work our firefighters do for the city. The kids also received great relief from the sun at Marna O'Brien Park and also at Windsong Park. We installed sunshades over the play equipment, which was a huge, you guys know how hot it gets out here in the summer, and that sun can be unrelenting. So we installed some shade structures that really help the kiddos to enjoy that. Maybe not this year because the parks have been kind of closed, but when we get back up and running as usual, not only that, but those probably more importantly, those shade structures protect all of our playground equipment so that we don't have to replace that as often as well. We also completed another portion of the much needed sidewalk on Mission Trail. Each year we have a long list of pavement repairs, and our city engineering team continues to find funding opportunities and repair methods to address this big need in our city. We also awarded the repair of several guardrails throughout the city from funds secured from federal grants. So a lot of capital improvement plan projects going on in Wildomar right now. Next slide. This current fiscal year, we awarded upgrades to the pedestrian countdown timers. Those are those things with the little walk signal that count it down. So those are called pedestrian countdown timers, also funded by a federal grant. Our biggest celebration, though, is the award of the Bundy Canyon Widening Project. As you guys probably have seen on news releases, we get a lot of accidents on Bundy Canyon. It has a lot of issues. So we're going through a much needed widening project that has been a long time in the works. The project will provide for about a mile of 4 continuous lanes starting just east of the I-15 freeway, as well as the installation of 2 traffic signals. And it will also complete a missing section of storm drain pipe between Sellers and the freeway. So a lot of much needed improvement on Bundy Canyon. Our engineers are also currently working on finalizing the design and preparation of construction documents to widen Clinton Keith Road. So Clinton Keith in between the 15 freeway and the Murrieta border there as you head east on Clinton Keith. It will be widened to 4 continuous lanes from east of the freeway to the city of Murrieta boundary, and our next group of pavement repairs. We were awarded a grant to complete the gap in the sidewalk and the bike trails on Palomar from Clinton Keith northerly to the housing tracts and section of Clinton Keith by Renaissance Plaza. So that would be right outside of Barron's Market there. We are also finishing the improvement plans for drainage and pavement improvements on Lemon east of the I-15. So as you can see, we've got a lot of things going on in Wildomar this year, even despite the pandemic. We've been working on quite a bit. One of the main things that we were finally able to do this year is to take 5 streets that were in Wildomar. If you started at City Hall and went from Shopping Center to George to Porus and then across to Baxter and then to Central. And we combined all of those 5 names into one, Wildomar Trail. So now there is, I'm sure you've seen off the freeway, there is now an exit that says Wildomar Trail. And the best part was we were able to piggyback this with Caltrans doing their signage improvements and updates anyways. So we didn't have to pay for any of the freeway signs. So that gave us a significant cost savings there for our city and our residents. Cannabis. So we are one of the cities now in Southwest Riverside County allowing cannabis to take place. And we just passed the final ordinance. It was effective on July 10th of this year. It will require a conditional use permit and a development agreement for those businesses. So far, we've received 7 applications that we are going through with. And these public hearings, we've had one already in November that I believe had two or three of those businesses in that one public hearing. And then we'll have more in December and January for the Planning Commission and City Council. Once approved, these businesses can submit for their tenant improvement plans and really get rolling in the plazas that they will be approved for. And then once construction, just like any other business, once they get their C of O and they're cleared to open, they will open for business just like any of our other businesses in Wildomar. Next slide. And this is what we see for cannabis in Wildomar. We really want our cannabis shops to be the best of the best. And we've been working with them diligently. And we also looked at the best practices of some of the cities around us that allow cannabis and really worked into our code what we feel will be a higher end cannabis facility, and really working with those cannabis facilities to make sure that they're good partners in our community and that they're going to be good businesses for our residents. Next slide. One of the things we're most proud of in Wildomar is our hospital, Inland Valley Medical Center. It's the only trauma center in Southwest Riverside County. We have over 46,000 patients visit the ER and trauma center just last year alone. They're all verified level. It's a verified level 2 trauma center. It's the only one in Southwest Riverside County that is a verified level trauma 2 level center. And all of the physicians are board certified and eligible in emergency medicine. So we really appreciate the partnership that we have with Inland Valley Medical Center, and we look forward to them being our partner for a very long time. Accelerate this. Now we get into the part where I'm going to tell you about some businesses that have opened or are going to soon be opening. And, you know, we've had a lot of movement this past year in Wildomar, even despite a pandemic. Maybe everyone might have thought things slowed down, but it really didn't for us. We've been rocking and rolling over there at City Hall, mostly working from home, but we've been rocking and rolling and getting people open. So Accelerated Urgent Care is already open in Wildomar Square. This would be right across from Angelo's. You can see Taco Bell on the sign, Dunkin' Donuts. So it's in that Wildomar Square Plaza that's right off of Clinton Keith and the 15 freeway. Hopefully you don't need them, but if you do, they're right there. And what you might remember as Bean, our fabulous coffee shop there on Clinton Keith Road in the Barn Shopping Plaza, has changed its name to City Local. Now, it's still the same owners. Basically, what they did is they gave up their franchise license, so they are a true independent. They do offer, you can see that picture there on the left, they offer some artisan goods from around our valley. They actually feature handmade gifts and treasures from artisans around our valley. Very cool stuff. They still offer the same bean coffee, and it is actually still the same owners. So in that respect, nothing has really changed. But you can see their patio, how much work they've put on their patio. It really is a fantastic place to go and sit and enjoy a cup of coffee in Wildomar and Clinton Keith. And Angelo's Brick Oven Pizzeria has expanded his restaurant. Once we get back open again, he has all of his permits, he's ready to go, and he is ready to seat people in there when we are allowed to do that again. But in the meantime, he also has that awesome patio out in front that you can see there too with the umbrellas. I also want to note that Angelo's just had their 3-year anniversary, and Angelo just got his citizenship for the United States back in June. So we're very proud of Angelo and all that he has done to make his business a success in Wildomar. Now, Grocery Outlet is opening tomorrow on Clinton Keith and Wildomar Trail. So right off of the freeway, about 2 blocks east of the 15 freeway on Clinton Keith is going to be the new Grocery Outlet. These guys are 2 twin brothers, and really their whole purpose in life is to give back to a community. And so they're doing that through Grocery Outlet. So we look forward to Carl and Mark being an excellent part of our community. And we're going to go, staff and council get to go on a walkthrough tonight. And I know we're all very excited about that, but then the public will get to be there tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. for their big grand opening. Please join us if you get the chance and check them out. They're going to be a great addition to Wildomar. Wingstop is scheduled to open on November 23rd. This again is at Wildomar Square. I've been saying for a while that Wildomar Square gets all the bingo squares this time around because they have a lot opening in there, or has opened. So Wingstop will be there next to Robex, and kind of what you can't see just to the right of the picture is where Dunkin' is. So that gives you kind of an idea in the plaza where they are. But they're scheduled to open on November 23rd. Palm Thai Cuisine. This used to be the former Country Kitchen right next to Angelo's. So again, in Wildomar Square, they're scheduled to open on December 1st. And we look forward to all the reviews that I've been reading, as they have excellent Thai food. So I'm very excited. Any of you who follow me on Facebook know how much I love to eat and how much I love to eat great food. So I'll have to sneak in there though, so Angelo doesn't see me going next door, I guess. Next slide. And Montague Brothers Coffee. This is a really special one for us because we've really been working hard to get that building rented out, leased out with the owners of it. We've been working with the owners for a little over a year to help them find a tenant. And this is on Palomar Road and Wildomar Trail. So it's very close to our elementary school and not too far away from Gruel and our cemetery and our fire station. So it's kind of what we envision in the hopefully near future as our downtown area. But this family, it's a Wildomar family with 2 young boys, and that's where Montague Brothers comes from. Those 2 little boys are the Montague Brothers, and it's this young family, and they are opening the coffee shop of their dreams. And you know, if that doesn't just give you the American dream and give you a nice warm feeling in your heart, I don't know what else does. But we really look forward to them opening up. We're working with them daily to make sure that they get open as quickly as they can, and we look forward to them being a great addition to our community as well. And next slide. And of course, the Wildomar Shooting Academy, we're so proud of this. So their target date, they're still going through all of their permits. We've gotten some questions because it's actually a vacant lot that you're looking at right there. Beautiful drawing, would actually just be a vacant lot at the moment if you went there today. So people start to get concerned that nothing's happening, but they have a lot of permits that they need to go through in order to build this kind of shooting academy, and that's what they're working on right now. So at this point, we believe their target opening date is in probably late 21, early 22. But this will be on the corner of Bundy Canyon and Mission Trail. We really look forward to them coming to Wildomar and all of the, thanks Heather for going back. One of the great things about it is it's really going to provide a place for our public safety to go and practice and get certified for their shooting credentials and all that they need to do for that they have to drive far out of town to go do right now. So it's going to bring a lot of public safety into Wildomar. It's going to bring a lot of other people into Wildomar, and we look forward to them using some of our services, getting gas, maybe going to some of our fantastic restaurants while they come into Wildomar to attend the shooting academy. So we look forward to that opening up when it does. And with that, as always, please contact me. Please put me in your speed dial, because if I don't know that you have a question, I can't answer it. There's all of my contact information, including my cell phone. I am always available to answer your questions. And we really appreciate being part of this event today and allowing you to tell you a little bit about Wildomar and everything that we have going on there. And I look forward to any questions that I can answer. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kimberly. Great information. I think everyone can see there's extremely exciting things happening in Wildomar and a lot to come. So we're very excited to see that. So
thank you.
Thanks. So next up, so if you want to, there you go, you got it. Sweet. All right. Next up is Mr. Scott Agajanian. He is I'm not going to try and read his title because I still don't have it memorized. He is economic development with the city of Murrieta. And we're ecstatic to have him with us. And he is so technologically savvy that he is actually going to present his own slides and do it flawlessly. So without further ado, Mr. Agajanian.
Well, thank you, Ellis. This is going to be different. We're going to be a little more abstract than usual today, and that should scare all of you because things are weird. 2020 has been odd. Normalcy has been fleeting. And in few subjects is the abnormality greater than in that of our economy. But even now, economics is a science. It's a social science because it's based on what people do. Primarily, it's the science of scarcity, but it's also that of choices. And since it's a science, we can observe it, we can study it, we can test it, we can find better and worse ways of doing it. And since we're the participants, it's not always easily predictable. Speaking of unpredictability, I would like to say congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers and your sparse fan base on finally having a World Series photo that's not in black and white. Great job, Dodgers. So what in the world does a local economic outlook even look like today? Well, I thought I'd start, as we always do, with Karl Popper, a philosopher of science famous for rejecting the classical inductivist views in favor of empirical falsification. To say that simply, he was concerned about what we can know. Popper posited, which is just fun to say, that knowledge comes from two things: conjecture and refutation. So conjecture is an opinion, or for you confident people, it's a conclusion that is formed on the basis of incomplete information. So what in the world could we possibly have incomplete information about today? Well, how about the long-term economic effects of COVID-19? What are schools going to look like when they reopen, and when? Where are we going to find ourselves next on the blueprint for a safer California? What happens after eviction moratoriums are lifted? How do we properly judge the legitimacy of the LA Dodgers World Series victory? And we could go on and on. What will be the effects of pent-up demand? What is commercial occupancy going to look like in 2 years? But just remember, in the end, we get to knowledge by forming opinions or hypotheses, and then we should be unsure about those, and we refute the things that don't make sense. But we'll get back to that. Let us start simply. This is a graphic of a foot traffic in our downtown area, and the right-hand side shows mid-March of this year. Things got very bad for retail very quickly. And then the surveys hit, and there were a lot of them, generally confirming how negative an effect COVID-19 had on business. For those of you that have been here a while, you may remember how tough the Great Recession was on Murrieta, and I think Dr. Husing mentioned this. Unemployment here was comparable with some of the worst hit regions in the country. The spurring of new development and small business growth took years to recapture. At that time, we were a new and undiversified economy, and I want to insist that today we're more capable, we're more ready, and we're more adaptable and economically resilient a city today than we were back then. So right now, here is where we are. Our incomes have gone up significantly in the last year. And I will mention, Dr. Husing shared some 2019 numbers. We have a study completed last month showing our median family income is now up to $90,736, and the mean or the average family income is $113,084. Our graduation rates are still much higher than county levels, and we have a strong daytime population. Net jobs have increased slightly since our last economic outlook, but not nearly as much as usual. We're now at 42,727 jobs, and that's up from 42,193 last year. But we now have a larger workforce, and sadly, a larger workforce imbalance than we did last year. Our 5-year net job growth rate is 12.9%, and last year was 14.6%. So we slowed down a bit in 2020. Yet Murrieta still more than doubled the national growth rate of 6.2% during this time. On to population. In the last 5 years, our population has grown by 10.7%, and it projects to grow by 5.9% in the next 5 years. We currently have 116,781 beloved residents in the city of Murrieta, with 12 Dodger fans. And we anticipate growing to 123,676 residents living here by the year 2025, with 9 Dodger fans. So things seem to be heading in the right direction. Murrieta has the largest workforce in Southwest Riverside County. We have 54,700 workers, meaning we're just over 11,000 jobs short of a balance between workers and jobs. Last year, that number was 10,000, but an increase in unemployment has caused that to expand. Our unemployment rate sounds horrific, and that's because it is. We have tripled the number of people on unemployment since last year. And while this is bad, 9.1% is down from a peak of 15% during COVID restrictions at the height, and well below the state and county levels. So there's really two stories that are going on here. Far too many people are unemployed, and with high unemployment, the ability for people to reverse their commutes and work at home is hindered. On the other hand, overall incomes are going up. If the city of Murrieta was its own metropolitan region, we'd be 9th highest in the country. Our top occupation is now sales, which shot up this year, overtaking office and administration. And this year, healthcare replaced management as our top earning field, followed by legal, the sciences, and engineering. 65% of Murrieta's workers are in high-skilled white-collar jobs, which is much higher than both the state and county averages. So in the last 5 years, we've added 5 companies to our list of those businesses with more than 100 employees. These are businesses like Encompass Health, The Springs, Auto Gallery Mitsubishi, the Holiday Inn Express, and that's good news. The bad news is that our proportion of the smallest size businesses, which are those with 1 to 4 employees, actually dropped from 35% down to 32.6%. And normally that's good if you have businesses that are growing into larger size categories. But in this case, some small businesses have simply closed. So please, all of you remember, and I know Kim Davidson mentioned this, not just on November 28th, but throughout the year, shop local and support small business. In previous years, we've had record new business starts and amassed a growth of over 1,250 new businesses in just the last 3 years. This year is a different story. We have a net 45 fewer licensed businesses in the city of Murrieta today than we did a year ago. As a sample, the third quarter saw a 6% decrease in new license activity when compared with a year ago. This was not a great year for new business starts. And it is challenging when you see businesses close for reasons outside of their control. So this is what the city's doing about it. This year, the city approved a Back to Business grant program. It provides 25 grants of $10,000 each to businesses in peril due to COVID-19. Our businesses have also had access to the Riverside County grant program, and these funding sources have been a lifeline to small businesses in the community. Also included in our Back to Business campaign were business reopening and safety kits that were delivered free of charge with the help of the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. We held a virtual new business welcome event, participated in the Project Face Shield program, and thank you for all the partners in that, for creating shields, masks, and ear guards for the medical industry, first responders, and businesses. We changed the Murrieta Business newsletter from a monthly template to a daily one, and we started Murrieta Pivots, which is a program to highlight companies that have adapted to COVID-19. And there's more. Many of you have probably seen our mayor, Mayor Wunderlich, delivering the business briefings with the chamber. We've maintained restaurant lists and created the Murrieta Dines Out program to allow restaurants the ability to open outdoors during indoor closures. We then followed it up with programs for fitness and gyms, hair and barber salons, nail salons, all to allow those industries to stay open. We have deferred business license fees and TOT fees for 3 months just to give businesses a chance to catch their breath. Created a complete business and community reopening resources guide to help businesses plan for safely reopening. And we continued our Murrieta Microscope series to promote small businesses. And we even participated in the Patrick Ellis Brainchild, I know it sounds funny to say, the e-conversations webcast to provide timely information to the public. And there's still so much more. This year, instead of updating our strategic plan, which we do on an every 2-year basis, we opted to create a business retention and expansion plan, which should be rolling out in the next month or so. We've also continued to focus on small business startups and building businesses here from the ground up. We now have 9 biotech companies working at the Murrieta Innovation Center, and 6 have received funding in just the last year and a half. And last month, our city council approved the pursuit of a U.S. Department of Commerce grant with the goal of funding a wet lab, dry lab, and modernized creative office space, all at the Murrieta Innovation Center. I would like to point out that this pursuit would not be possible without the Murrieta Partnership and their efforts to upgrade our space into a high concept biotech incubator, because nobody exemplifies high concept like Patrick Franklin Ellis. And we're actively networking in the biotech space as members of Biocom and Life Science Nation. We're rejuvenating the steering committee to form an angel investment group, and thank you, Kim Davidson, for the Wildomar partnership on this, that would focus on intellectual property investment here in our region. We're also marketing all this amazing biotech news that's happening here, like Murrieta Genomics being named the business to watch by a national magazine, Healthcare Insights. Neuroblast GX announced they just received funding from the Department of Defense. Gatico has announced the development of a COVID-19 diagnostic tool. And SimplySeek was selected to present at the virtual First Look SoCal Innovation Showcase. So a lot of news has been happening with our startups. Okay, I've got no segue here. Retail vacancy. So retail vacancy throughout the city has ironically been consistently dropping since COVID hit. We're now at 6.6% and well below the regional average. Last year at this time, we were at 7.5%, and this is in spite of the fact that lease rates have gone up $1.45 per foot per year since that time. We have approximately 5.6 million square feet total of retail, and regionally, the vacancy rates are around 7%. And so in 2009, they peaked at 10%. We're doing much better this time. Office has not fared quite as well during this period. In the city of Murrieta, we've gone from 7.5% last year up to 8.7% vacancy, but prices have also shot up $1.07 per foot during this time. And we have 2 million square feet of inventory. The region's vacancy rate sits at 7.2 right now, so we're a little higher on that one. But even as telework and shrinking footprints for office slightly press down on our occupancy, there is good news. A study completed this October found the #1 development need in the city of Murrieta is office space. We have a demand for 1.2 million square feet of additional space in the next 10 years, and an additional 6,734 jobs are forecasted along with it. So the same study did predict a slight increase in vacancy rates for the next 2 years. So the increase that we have right now is not entirely unexpected. On the industrial side, our industrial vacancy rate dropped from 3.7% last year to 2.7% now. And that's with an increase of 54 cents per foot. So the vacancy rate should be expected to drop even further with a very recent sale of an industrial building in Jefferson and the Automall Parkway. And our vacancy is nearly non-existent. We continue to need new construction. In our sub-region, overall vacancy sits at 3.3%. But the older industrial space, which is anything built before 1990, sits at 5.5%. That means the demand to absorb new space is nearly 100%. And as always, I want to say thank you, Mayor Gene Wunderlich, for updating us on the housing information. Median home prices now up to $512,500, a 13% increase from last year. As you can see on this slide on the bottom right, we had a major housing boom in the early 2000s, but we're largely built out residential, although we have opened up some new residential zones, particularly on the eastern corridor of our city with our general plan update earlier this year. This continues to be a great place to own a home. 70% of our homes are owner occupied and 30% rentals. And you can see from the sales volume, it is a really good time to be a real estate agent in the city of Murrieta. We continue to resemble what looks like the perfect place to raise a family. Our top consumer behavior is that of the category called kids in cul-de-sacs, which should simply showcase what a family-friendly, community-based city this is. And heading over to our development pipeline, in spite of all that's going on, there is a huge amount of projects that are still on the way. So you'll be looking forward to many new things coming here. And this is what's happened in the last year. A whole lot of businesses have been coming here. Aldi opened up at Murrieta Hot Springs in Winchester. Fresenius has just completed their medical office space and just waiting on their state licensing to open. California Distilleries just got a minor conditional use permit in the city of Murrieta. Prestige Golf Cars moved over to Jefferson Avenue. Jimmy's Express Car Wash just opened this month, but there's more. We've got Rival Coffee, who opened a couple of months ago with a really cool coffee bar, full spirits bar, drive-through, and a sit-down full-serve restaurant is coming soon in there. Sharon's Creole Kitchen opened up since last year with fantastic fried chicken. They're up in Village Walk. Maybell's Barbecue, which is legitimate Texas barbecue, opened up over on Hot Springs. And we've got a brand new electric scooter, bike, and skateboard shop for all of you fun enthusiasts out there, just opened up on Jefferson. But this year was really about expansions, and expansions are the key to a growing economy. 8-Bit Brewery is undergoing a major transformation with additional manufacturing, bottling on site, a brand new arcade, and the best bathrooms in town. I see we just extended for another 30 minutes. It means I'm talking too long. So 8-Bit, best bathrooms in town. Got to go check them out. Very cool design. And they have plans to expand their outdoor patio with a pass-through bar, which is why they need those bathrooms. It is looking very cool. Town Springs Park is nearing completion on a major renovation with amphitheater seating, bathrooms that are nice, and a stage perfect for an Irish music. Kaiser is bringing phase 2 of their medical campus with an ambulatory surgery center that's about 90,000 square feet with super bathrooms. Rancho Springs Medical Center has 36,000 square feet for pediatrics, ICU, postpartum with ancillary support services. And they're bringing 24 new beds, bringing the total up to 120, all with excellent bathrooms. West Coast Exotic Cars has purchased an 80,000 square foot building in our auto mall to open a triple car dealership. They will have a new Karma dealer, brand new ground up built Celine cars, and the existing West Coast Exotic line all in one place. Phase 1 will be a redesign of the interior of the building and is expected to be done by the end of this year. And they will, when completed, be one of the nicest, largest exotic car dealerships on the West Coast. I have no word on what those bathrooms will look like. But there's even more expansions, I believe. Hold on here. And there's more expansions, yay. The expansions of Chef's Grill, which is happening right across the street from City Hall, will double their indoor seating, add a wood-fired pizza oven, and expand their outdoor space. San Diego just added an indoor lighting showroom. Burlington is upgraded into their new location, which is beautiful. There are 2 new doctor's office expansions, including Heart and Vascular Wellness Center, and an expansion and an application in to expand New Smile Prosthodontics into a new building. And there's a whole lot more going on with SoCal's Tacos and Beer coming in next to Aldi. There's a lot of patio expansions going on in town where restaurants have decided they don't want just temporary outdoor space, but are looking for permanent versions. And there's a lot of stuff that's coming soon. The Vineyard has started construction on phase 1 of our new regional commercial shopping center, which will be Costco anchored, along with Aldi coming in there, Cafe Rio, Panera Bread, Farmer Boy, Starbucks, Jamba Juice, Accelerated Urgent Care, and Ramona Tire, and a whole bunch more. Then, of course, we have the opening of Floor and Decor, which is scheduled for January, and they are working very frenetically over there right now to get that done in time. It's a 90,000 square foot space in the Murrieta Town Center. We've also got more medical coming in with McKenna Medical in Murrieta, just south of Loma Linda. You can see the grading happening right now. And there are sticks in the dirt of American Spine going up with a 20,000 square foot medical office building on Hancock. And there's more coming soon. A new 30,000 square foot medical office is coming soon to a place to be named. A new neighborhood commercial French Valley Shopping Center on the Murrieta side of the street. 2 new hotels have been approved by the city in the last year, and both of them have major conference space. We have an approved mixed-use building in our downtown that's just working on their funding right now. A new Mediterranean restaurant on Hot Springs, Khan Zaman, has just opened, and Raising Cane's and Dickey's Barbecue will be coming along soon. Plus, we've got an El Toro Market, a Fast Five car wash, a 12,000 square foot office building on Madison, a 28,000 square foot industrial building almost done on Eastman to be completed soon. We've also got 2 new grocery stores in the pipeline, 2 assisted care facilities, a pediatric medical office. I mean, whew, we are busy. So why does everyone want to come here? And the reason remains we are one of the safest cities in the country. We are the medical innovation engine of Southwest Riverside County. We have a blossoming downtown. We have a great outdoor lifestyle because Murrieta is just a cool place to be. As always, we couldn't do anything without a host of great partners, but today I would like to focus on one, the Murrieta Wildomar Chamber of Commerce. They have been your strongest advocates this year. The work of our chamber has been exceptional, fighting for small business, focusing on reopening safely, delivering free PPE, going virtual but staying active, being the promoter of small business resources. This is truly the best chamber of commerce out there without exception. They host breakfast without breakfast, and we all still show up. That's how good they are. And to Patrick Ellis, seen here making believe he's Justin Turner again, congratulations. Patrick has been named a finalist in the Spirit of the Entrepreneur Awards as a COVID hero, with the announcement to be made on television on November 21st. Whatever happens, Patrick, you've truly been a hero to this community and a question mark to sports fans everywhere. As you all know, Patrick and I are like brothers. That's why I tease him so much, Cain and Abel. So this year should have been a great time to talk about our job fair and how over 2,000 residents showed up in February to find work closer to home, with 70 plus local businesses recruiting local talent, and the dent that these kinds of actions can make in our commutership. But regardless of what has happened since then, we remain partners on this project with the chamber, and we are not done. We're going to continue to push for good jobs at home and connecting local workers to them. In the most difficult of times, our Chamber of Commerce has been impeccable. Rhonda, Heather, Hilder, Kim, and Mike with the Y for some reason, thank you for all that you do for business. And these brilliant and quasi-brilliant people are the executive team under the flawless guidance of Kimberly Podegray-Summers, who's been a paragon of responsible leadership throughout this year. And just look at how nice all those smiles are. And congratulations, I would like to say, to Miss Stephanie Smith, our city clerk, and my office neighbor on her upcoming retirement. It's funny how everyone who is housed next to me retires a little bit early. Our current city council is coming, there they are, has remained focused on keeping the community informed during the pandemic and remaining business friendly throughout. And we are grateful for the work they've done. As a reminder, we're going to have 2 new council members joining us very soon. So congratulations to them. And as always, this is the City of Murrieta's Economic Development Division. And I'd like to welcome to the team Michael Fisher, who's been doing an excellent job working on mentoring businesses one-on-one as a volunteer with the city, and to Carly Terrell, who is the person that works behind the scenes to make sure that I don't screw up as often as I am tempted to. So, knowledge is based on conjecture and refutations. Remember that? And this process tells us what we can know. And there's a lot of conjecture out there, but we have good reasons to be optimistic for better days. Here's a sales tax reporting for Murrieta for the second quarter of 2020. And remember how bad that quarter was? Receipts were only down 1.4%. Actual sales were down 5.7%. Some industries were hit particularly hard, and some did okay, all things considered. Many of those that struggled in the second quarter had pivoted and come back in new ways to stay competitive and viable. In Murrieta, economic effects have not been as bad as projected. From a net job standpoint, we're still growing, albeit slowly, but new businesses are still opening. The local economy has not sunk, and existing small businesses are resourcefully finding ways to stay open. Schools have been very adaptive and making the best out of a bad situation. While pandemics are horrible, we have had more knowledge and tools at our disposal for fighting this time than we've ever had before. While all the conjecture has been bad, in reality, we still have a huge upside in Murrieta, and we can all rest assured that this is not the end of Murrieta's boom period. We will recover, and more quickly than in the past. And I'd also like to remind everyone within the sound of my voice that the Dodgers have never won back-to-back World Series championships, although they have lost back-to-back on multiple occasions, both times to the Dodgers, by the way. This is where all of our information was stolen from. And with that, let's get to the end here, which is to say, you can find us in many places. 2021 is upon us, and thank goodness. 2021 will not be a repeat season. There's no chance of that, Patrick. 2021 will be a completely different season in all ways. Life is about progress and continual improvement, and there's a lot to improve on in the next year, but Murrieta will do so and will continue to be connected by community. And that's that.
Thank you for that, Scott. I appreciate that very much. Well, I want to thank you. I want to thank Kimberly. I want to thank Dr. Husing again. We don't have any questions in the queue or in the chat at the moment. I don't know what that was. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of let you all take advantage. There's still opportunity to jump around to some of these tables and network with people. But I want to thank everyone again for joining us this morning. I want to thank our sponsors. Dr. Husing, thank you again. Scott, Kimberly, without you guys, this would not be possible. But thank you for your support. As Scott said, we are all looking forward to a very bigger and brighter 2021. So thank you again for joining us. Again, feel free to stay in here, network, have fun in our REMO environment. And thanks again for the presentations. We appreciate it.